Number 6.
Clear plastic bag.
So, I'll check that.
We've got a lot of things going on this evening that we want to get people back to, so if we could please call this meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you, Bob, would please lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome and thank you very much for attending this evening. I'm going to ask the board, please, if I could please move the public comment up, because Patty Schachtner is here, Senator, to share with us some updates from government. And I think, and she's going to be presenting down at this high school. So is that okay with everyone if we do that first thing? Then we'll run through the agenda. Is that okay with you, Tasia? You, Dr. Wiesek? Well, great. Patty, thank you for coming this evening.
Right now.
You're on.
My first year as Senator for District 10 is coming to a close, which is very exciting, but I wanted to come and give you guys an update as we move into the next budget process. So this year for me has been visiting school districts, so I've been to almost every school district in District 10. So I've been able to interact with administrations, classrooms, and school boards. And one of the interesting things I found as someone who was a former school board member is that I never had a relationship with my legislators. So for those of you that are on the board now, if we don't hear from you, you know, we have to hear from you. We have to have relationships. If we don't have relationships, then it's kind of hard to really figure out what the need is and stuff. So in the school districts that I've been to, the biggest thing, of course, is mental health, and it's money for programs versus grants. There needs to be sustainability. That seems to be an issue across the board. School safety, again, it's programs versus grants. Free and reduced lunch, the numbers with that, and school-wide free breakfast is something that is really starting to move up as far as importance in the local school districts. Lifetime licensing is something, and also special licensing is something that we're seeing has kind of conversations on both sides of the conversation. Some of the smaller school districts are finding the lifetime licensure very helpful, that they can start hiring within their community for people who are on the second or third phase of their career that are looking to work in the school district and make a career change and get some special licensing that way. The impact of the expanded voucher system, with some of our local school districts in District 10 have seen this year, especially for the first time with the expanding funding or expanding access to voucher system, as much as $30,000 being taken out of their budget and then given to voucher schools. So it will definitely impact budgets around here. And the thing that is interesting about that is there's no verification is needed. So these school districts don't even know if the students actually live in the school district which the money is coming from. So that is interesting. Let's see. The other thing is internships. So I'm pretty happy to announce that my intern next semester is going to be a Somerset grad. So Max McMeekin is going to be interning with me next year. So that's pretty exciting. My staff, when he went through the hiring process, like, do you know this McMeekin kid? And he flew right to the top of the list right away. So it was very exciting to have a local student actually want to come and intern down in the Capitol and see how government works. We're going to be having a listening session tomorrow. It's the last one of the year. This year it'll be my 10th listening session, and this one will be in Somerset at the Somerset Library, and we will cover everything that has been talked about this year. And really, the importance is really having, if you have questions, to contact me or my office, and we can help you out. Without those one-on-one conversations, I can't help. So if you,
What time is the listening session?
tomorrow night at 7 o'clock
At the library.
at the library, yep. So that's kind of the scoop of what's going on right now. It's kind of fun as we move into the next budget system, or time. And I just found out today that I am on the K-12 committee and the next level education committee. So education is really where my focus is going to be as far as budgeting and tourism, so which is really kind of exciting for me. And then again, if you guys have questions about stuff that's going on, about funding, about some creative ideas, let my office know. There's going to be it's going to be a tight budget, and we have to be realistic and creative about how things are going to look. And referendums, of course, with the option of only 2 questions and then not being able to go back for a year is a huge barrier that a lot of our school districts are seeing. And it causes for some problems. So I know you're going to be talking about that today. And with that, if you guys have any questions for me.
Thanks so much, Patty.
There you go.
Thank you for taking the time. And now you're presenting some awards down at the school. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's the drug poster. So it's countywide drug poster through the sheriff's department, and so we'll be giving some awards down there.
And that's starting at 6:30?
7.
7, okay.
Yes, and there are quite a few students from Somerset that did quite well, so it's very exciting.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Thank you for squeezing us in.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for letting me push that up. So good information for us to have. Great achievement on Max's part. I mean, way to go. So Tisha, if we could please continue with the roll call then?
Yep, Bruce Belargin.
Here.
Katie Thermos.
Here.
Marie Colbeth.
Here.
Bob Gunther.
Here.
Courtney Kirkowski.
Here.
Catherine Cranston.
Here.
Lori Belargin.
Here. And then we'll move on to reading the district mission. Together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. If you would, please, board members, read through the core values, refresh your mind on the core values of what we believe. Each and every person is capable of success. Each and every person is accepted and valued. And we believe in empowering all learners. We believe in change. Change is our opportunity for growth. We believe involved communities foster strong schools. We believe in lifelong learning, that it's essential for personal growth, and we believe in cultivating leaders. The protocol reminders for the board members, please, and then I'll give you 2 seconds to read this. If I could, please have a motion to approve the agenda.
So,
Thank you, Bob.
I'll second.
Thank you, Courtney. If we didn't miss anything, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to reports. The staff and student community recognition. Tonight we're recognizing 2 students from the middle school. So I'm gonna pass it to you, please,
Great.
Sarah.
Okay, well, so we get to honor, oh, you are here. I'm gonna pass it to Eric Cassell because he's here, I didn't see him to be.
That's
He knows way more about this
Okay.
than I do. Yay!
Yay.
Although I am very proud of both of them still, which is awesome.
should be.
Yes.
We have Max and Libby. If you guys would like to stand up.
Just in case people in the audience don't know who you are.
Oh, I am Eric Purcell. I'm the 712 band director here.
And phenomenal at that.
Oh, thank you.
These 2 went through a rigorous course of auditioning through the state, and they were both honored. And Max was in the bass vocalist. There were 47 guys that tried out across the state, and 27 were accepted. So top 50%. I'm sure he was in the top 5% because he's amazing. But so he got to join the choir, and then Libby, there were 63 students that auditioned on the B-flat clarinet, and only 23 were accepted. So she made it in as well, and just an idea of the auditioning process and things they need to do. It's both very similar in ways. They both have to prepare a piece to perform in front of a judge, and that piece is usually a Class B or Class A on our list in the state of Wisconsin. And these are the things that they can go to competitions with solo and ensemble with and things like that. So they have to prepare that piece. They also have to prepare other separate things. I'm not exactly 100% sure about the choir stuff. But the band stuff, I know Libby had to memorize about 6 different scales, full range of her instrument. So playing from the lowest notes all the way to the highest, and chromatic scales, which is every single note you can possibly play on the clarinet. And so she had to memorize all that, and she's been doing fantastic. And then at the audition process as well, they'll give you a piece of paper and make you sight read. So some music that you've never seen before, so you have to be very proficient in reading music as well. And these two have excelled both in band and now both in choir as well. So they're both outstanding students. They went down to Madison in October. They had one long day of rehearsals. How many hours do you guys think you put in?
About 9.
9
On Friday.
on Friday, and then more rehearsals on Saturday, and then they all got together for a large performance with the State Honors Band, State Honors Choir, and State Honors Orchestra. And I listened to the CD today because I wasn't able to be there, and it was amazing. Just to give you an idea, they played a song that we just performed with the high school concert band, and they would have just blown us out of the water. It was phenomenal. So it really was a great opportunity for these guys, and we're super proud as a music department to have them represent Somerset on a statewide level.
I'm so glad you encouraged that participation. Congratulations to both of you. That is no minor deal.
Yeah.
We have a certificate for you too, in appreciation. And I know it's a lot of sacrifice and nerves that get involved in that, so congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Max, same to you. Your voice didn't crack. Congratulations.
And then do you have
Can
some
the
parents
parents-
or support with you here this evening?
Yeah.
Oh, my mom, Amy Pelletier, and my dad, Jason Pelletier.
That's my dad, Dave Churchich. And my mom's at work.
Did you, I don't like pictures.
It's okay, I know you don't. You just move this way.
Did you parents get a chance to go listen to them too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Can you put that on the website or anywhere?
You need a
Oh, yeah.
better auditorium here.
Yep.
That place was
Thank you
phenomenal.
so much for representing Somerset so well. I look forward to hearing you.
Eric, is the music copyrighted or is it something we can post? Like
The
the
music
CD recording
is
that you have?
copyrighted.
It is, okay.
Yep.
Oh.
But you can buy the CD. Or at the state, WSMA.com.
Oh,
Or you can come visit me sometime,
okay.
and I'll play it for you.
I'm sure it'd be phenomenal. And that's with the middle school level, or is it statewide all through K-12?
Just each CD is middle school level, and then there's also high school level
Okay.
ones as well, where there's choirs and jazz band and concert band at the high school level.
Wonderful job.
Hey,
Looking
if she
forward
makes
to
it to national honors, could you help me pay for it? $5 grand.
When is that?
Oh, she's auditioning soon. She's sitting on a date. They'll either go to New York or London or both, depending on
Wow.
what they choose. So,
Let's see how she goes.
I'm encouraging.
All right then. If we can, we will move on to 2B, the student representatives report.
I know you guys have all missed me.
Oh, definitely.
Times since I've been
Definitely,
here.
Hunter.
I apologize for not being able to make it to the last couple, but let's get started with the December board report. Here are our sports. So the girls basketball team is off to a really strong start this year. They're at 3-3, and they're really focusing on being at every single team they have left for the rest of the year. They also are very strong-willed. They came back from a 20-point deficit last week and lost in overtime, but it just shows the determination of that girls team. The boys basketball team, they're off to a 2-3 record, and they're more focused on improving as the season progresses, and the hopeful return of James Schochner. Danny and James are actually both injured right now, which is a big bummer for the teams because they're both Schochners and about 8 feet tall. So. The girls hockey team is doing better than ever expected, and they're hoping to make it all the way. They've won multiple first place tournaments throughout the season so far. Wrestling is only losing points for the forfeits that they have to take, pretty much. Jared and Tyler Hansberger are still undefeated, and they are currently still recruiting, trying to get those weight slots filled. Boys hockey, they have a very diverse team this year. Students playing from Somerset, St. Clair Falls, and Osceola, and they work hard every single practice to get better. So they have a pretty young and new team this year. The dance team and cheer team both placed 6th at their events this weekend, and senior Bethany Manjing scored top 3rd at River Falls. And the girls know that they can only work their way up from where they are right now, and they have a lot of work to do, and they're going to keep kicking butt. So the robotics team, this is their 2nd meet of the year. They started in 2nd place in prelims. They won their first match and then were defeated in the semifinal round. Eric Olson said it was an overall success, and one thing that was really cool is that they got a judges award. It's called the Creed Award. So the obstacle this year is a little bit more challenging. I can't even explain it. Eric was trying to explain it to me today, and I was like, well, maybe you'll just have to come to the board meeting and do a little demo. I don't know. But they had the most creative way to solve the problem this year. So that was really cool for them. Student Council made their annual visit to Toys for Tots in Woodbury. Each year we go and donate our time as shoppers and security. So what we do is we walk around with families and help them pick out toys for their kids. It's a really fun thing for us to do and a good way to volunteer. We have holiday this week at SHS, and we have dress-up days every day of the week, as well as the horticulture class selling wreaths and poinsettias. So if you guys want to stop down, they're very decently priced, and it's a good deal. The fishing team had their first practice this month, as several to follow, and then in January they have a competition on the 5th. So the advisor for this is Mr. Anderson, and he's pumped. He's on the PA every day, pounding it into people to come out for the fishing team and try it out.
Where is their first meet?
I'm unsure, but they have 3 meets in December, or in January.
You have to try out for the team?
Everyone's on the team.
Good.
So, hey, if you want to hop on that, you go ahead. The spring play had their first practice today. They started a little bit earlier this year due to the challenges that come along with this play. It's more of a comedic show put on by Miss Kazmarek, and they are super excited. She was explaining to me today the plot of it, and it sounds like it's going to be very fun and exciting. We had a blood drive this month at SHS, and it was the best turnout that we've ever had. We started including community in our blood drives, which is something that we've never done before. So we had moms and grandmas and parents coming in, and we had every single slot filled to the point where they won't take any more people.
Wow.
So that's never happened at since I've been in high school, so it was a really fun experience. Mr. Lindenberg is National Board Certified, which is a huge deal. He was telling us the rigorous course that he has to go through, and he's one of 93 English teachers in the state who are English National Board Certified. Also, we had the band and choir showcase this month at SHS, and it went fantastic. Do you want to speak on that, or?
It was a beautiful concert.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all I have for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hunter. Did anyone have any questions for him? Awesome job. Wow, a lot going
Does
on.
Somerset have girls hockey, or is that in Richmond?
Yup, it's co-op.
It's a co-op
It's a
between
Richmond and
Amory, New
Richmond.
Richmond,
I thought, wow, we're really getting Title IX here.
and they're currently, I think, ranked #1 in the state.
No, really? How many Somerset kids are out?
50%.
Is that?
Oh, like half.
And yes, the concert was.
And they're housed,
phenomenal.
and it's housed out of Somerset. Their locker room is in Somerset, their practices, and their games, everything's in Somerset.
Oh.
We got a lot going on. That's wonderful. The concert was excellent the other evening. Great participation and attendance too, I thought. So.
Thank you.
Then if we have no questions for Hunter, let's move on to the superintendent's report.
I kept this purposely short because we have school perceptions here, and I thought Patty would be on my time, so
Really, we've got a couple people that are interested in the summer school position, so we'll probably, the first meeting next month, come with a recommendation on that, and I think it's 2 people that are gonna split the job. They both have principal license, and I think we'll be very fortunate there. Looking at the enrollment, we are up 2 students this month, so reason to celebrate.
That is good.
So that's all I have. I, again, purposely kept it short because we want to
All right.
keep things rolling there.
So I apologize if we seem to be rolling it quickly. There is a reason. On to any questions for Dr. Busick, anyone? Then we'll move on to the financial reports. Did anyone have any questions there for Dave? Is Dave here? If you do,
Probably in his
please email
office.
them to him.
It's probably in his office.
All right. So, on to school board members' reports. And if you guys have something urgent here, otherwise we'll scoot right into, we'll keep moving through. Anything urgent that somebody wants to share?
Well, the community ed, just that they're going to begin working on the next set of classes right after the break, and then the new classes will be offered starting late January or early February.
All right.
Can I just say that is a great thing. I did community volleyball last week and got crushed by Miss Eichton, but it was a great time.
Just me.
That's good to hear. Good to know. So does
Really
it get
fun.
announced at school too?
They have like a thing in the office where it has all the activities and stuff.
But
And
do they announce it so the rest of the kids know about it?
no, I don't think so. We'll have to do a better job.
It's a league. So it's an adult volleyball league all winter long. So there's 7
Okay.
teams in the league, so he played on that team
Okay.
last week. It's very fun.
Very neat. All right. Anything else, Lori?
Well, with the scholarship fund, our president, Pam Powers, visited the high school and met with the seniors, talking about the scholarships, urging them to apply. And we know they're looking because they've already started asking the counselors for transcripts. Transcripts are not going to be printed until after the semester when grades are posted. And 97 letters went out to individuals and businesses who have donated to the scholarship fund in the past. So whether you got a letter or not, please keep us in mind.
Many good things to donate to, but that is a great update. Thank you. Did you have anything from?
Nope,
All
it's
right.
Wednesday.
All right, so we're gonna move right on in, thank you both, into the open forum. I only had Patty's card, so we'll scoot right by that. On to item 4, engage the community through partnerships, and this is where we get to hear from school perceptions.
Great. So do you want to hit it or do you want me
This
to?
is Sue
I can-
Peterson from School Perception. She's been here before, I believe.
Yeah, I said it was 3 years. I think it was this week. My daughter reminded me. She said, "You were in Somerset on my birthday 3 years ago." So I remember that. She waited up so when I got home that night, so I was giggling as I was coming. All right, so we got your community survey done. We'll go through the results and then I'll answer any questions that you have. As you're aware, your survey. Don't stand in your way. Your survey was conducted in November and early December of this year. So all residents within your district, every household, received the 8-page paper survey. It has that one-time use access code on it so that the survey can be taken once and only once, which ensures data integrity. However, folks could call the district office to get another paper survey mailed, or we could just give them another access code over the phone. You had 659 people that responded to the survey. Of those, 155 mailed back the pen and paper survey to our home office in Slinger, Wisconsin, right near Milwaukee. So you had a participation rate of 18%, which is really exactly what we want to see. So we'll typically see a 17 to 19% participation rate. 18% is great. What we actually know is that this number right here, once we hit 400, the data is just not going to wiggle a whole lot. So if 1,200 people had completed the survey, your data is going to be maybe 100th or so different, but we've watched hundreds and hundreds of these, and it's just sheer statistics. So we're very comfortable with the data. What we want to look at is we want to make sure that all segments of your community are represented. So we ask a variety of questions to kind of get a look at who took the survey. We also have the ability then with these questions on the back end to slice and dice your data. So if you're like, I'm just curious about what folks over the age of 65 say, we can go in and just disaggregate that data. So as you can see, all those of voting age are represented. Not surprisingly, we always see a very low percentage of those folks in the age of 18 to 25. We also want to make sure that those folks in the age of groups of 56 to 64 and over 65 are represented, because what do we know about those folks? Where do they show up? At the polls. Yep. So again, we want to make sure that they've taken it. They're usually less connected to the school district, because oftentimes they get in that over the age of 65, many times they no longer have school age children and may not be working anymore. We asked folks if their primary residence was within the district. So you can see here that 12% of the respondents said no. So you're saying, who would that be that had the opportunity to take the survey but doesn't live within our school district? All employees and parents were emailed a survey invitation. So you likely have employees that work for you that don't live within the school district. You also have families that could boundary in. So those folks, as we move forward, I'll talk about resident respondents, so we'll remove those folks. 122 of your employees, or 19% of the respondents, worked for the school district. We want to know what your employees think. They actually make up less than 1% of folks at the polls. So if you were sitting outside of the polls and you asked every person when they came through and you said you work for the school district, statistically about 1% or even less of those who vote are school district employees. But they have a really important role within your community, because your community members aren't calling Mark and saying, hey, what do you think? All right, they are, they're asking your employees. So we want to make sure that we know the voice of your employees and what their thoughts are. Parents make up about 25% of folks at the polls. So kind of we look at them, we kind of, in essence, we're going to give them like a 25% leaning. So 376 of the survey respondents, or 59% of the those who completed the survey, have school-age kids within your district. And we said, if you have school-age kids, what school do they attend? Obviously, folks can choose more than one if I have kids attending multiple buildings. But as you can see, the majority of the folks who completed the survey have kids within your school system. A small percentage are choosing private or parochial schools or attending school outside of the district for another educational choice. We wanted to make sure that all of your municipalities were represented. Again, this is an opportunity for us or for you to go in on the back end, slice and dice the data and do some additional analysis and disaggregation. But 39% live in the town of Somerset, 29% in the village. You can see the other percentages there. Overall satisfaction. So we ask some questions to just get a pulse of what people think about what's happening in the district. We know that there's a correlation between if I think you're doing a good job, my likelihood of opening up my pocketbook and supporting a referendum. So this is the first time you're going to see that we've taken the data, we've separated into 3 mutually exclusive groups. So your employees are first. Remember, they get like a 1% weighting when we think of the polls, but a critical voice in your community. Your parents second. So we call these non-staff parents. So if I work for you and I have kids in the district, I only get to fit into one category. So I'm an employee first, believe it or not, and a parent second. So the next group are your non-staff parents. And then there's all important group, your general community. So this, in essence, you look at this group and you say, this is kind of the perception. This is the chirping that's out there in the general community. I call it the tavern talk on Friday nights. This is what people are saying perhaps about what's going on in the schools. So these are simple averages. If everyone had said great, you'd see a 4. If everyone had said poor, you would see a 1. So we rank ordered these responses according to that non-parent, non-staff group. And we really focus our attention on things that fall below a 2.5 as areas that want to know a little bit more about those. Those start to lean towards the fair or poor, and we celebrate those things that are over a 3. So in general, your staff are saying you're doing a good job of building pride in the community and delivering a high quality educational experience. Your general community has ranked those 2 things the highest as well. And then we look down here and say that your general community is just at the border of saying keeping the public informed. Interestingly, your staff has given you a little bit of a low ranking, on maintaining your school facilities, likely why we're looking to go to referendum. And I wouldn't be super concerned down here, because I always say if I had $1 for every time that fell in that category, I wouldn't be here tonight. I'd be sitting somewhere with an umbrella and a drink, so let's not worry about that. But just the general community, always, it's a good idea when you're keeping them informed, letting them know the financial challenges of school districts and how you're spending your funds. So we ask one overall satisfaction question. We ask people to kind of reflect overall, are you satisfied with the work that we're doing? So you can see here that the majority of folks have reported that they're either very satisfied or satisfied. Believe it or not, we always say that our benchmark or our threshold is if we add our not satisfied and very unsatisfied together, we want to make sure it falls below 15%. So you're right at that, that line, and so we're very comfortable with that. That in general, your community is saying, we're comfortable and we're satisfied and you're doing good work. So again, that's very positive. So the survey has two purposes. One is to educate, the other is to gather data. So we allowed people to learn a bit more about what's happening in the school district and some of your needs. So we let folks know that you've been dealing with budget challenges for the last 7 years, right? We've gone out to referendum in the past, haven't had success, and that we've done things to reduce our budget, all right? So we've started to look under every rock. You've reduced classroom budgets, technology budgets, you've done some shifting of other funds, reviewed contracts, and even though we've done all of these things, that you're really anticipating a budget shortfall in the coming years, okay? So we said about $1 million. And then we also let folks know that you've got some facility needs. So we've got some needs to improve school safety and security. You've got some aging building infrastructure that needs to be addressed. You've got some educational spaces that need some updates, as well as a need to perhaps to expand some PE and athletic spaces. So we let folks also know that despite the fact that we've cut our expenses, we've also worked hard to be good stewards of your tax dollars, and the fact that since 2013, your levy has decreased by 21%, so something certainly to be proud of. And then we let folks know that really going to referenda is the really the only way we can address these needs. And so here we ask just kind of a general question. We want to get a pulse of where are people at, what are their thoughts. This question is early in the survey, intentionally. One is to kind of just get a general thought of where folks are at, but also to entice the reader to continue to become educated and finish the survey. But as we can see, 60% of all resident respondents are saying, yeah, it does make sense for this district to pursue a referenda to, you know, update your facilities and address your funding needs. So we've also separated this into these 3 mutually exclusive groups. So your red group is always going to be your employees. 89% of your staff are giving you a nod that makes sense. 68% of your parents, and then 37% of that all-important non-parent, non-staff group is saying it does make sense to go out to referendum. So that makes us feel good and gives us a sense of, yep, it makes sense to continue the conversation. So then we let folks know that if we are unsuccessful, okay, we need to go out for operating and potentially explore capital. But if we're unsuccessful with that operational referendum, we're going to have to make some cuts, right? We've already made cuts, but some changes would need to occur. So here we're going to see simple averages again. If everyone had said yes, you would see a 10. If everyone said no, you would see a 1. Again, we've rank ordered this according to this group. They make up the majority of folks at the polls, that non-parent, non-staff group. So we look for things that really fall above the 5 as far as if we need to make cuts, perhaps where first would we look, or what would we do to save money? So your general community is saying, well, we might have to look at athletics and co-curriculars, or reducing or postponing curriculum updates. Next would be, well, can we dig a little bit with our busing services and try and increase some efficiencies? So when we look at your general community, you've got a little heavier weighting towards, yeah, there's things we could do to save money. Interesting, and this is kind of unique to Somerset, we don't typically see numbers this low. So your parents and your staff are saying, I am not interested in making these types of cuts, okay? So many times we would, if I would be doing this presentation, we'd see many numbers with an average above a 5. But what this tells us as we look at your data is that your parents and your staff are saying these are not things we're interested in doing. and likely because you've already made significant cuts over the years. So when we see your staff saying absolutely don't cut, electives, your course offerings there, also your parents. So these are things that in essence they're saying we're interested in paying more, we're not interested in those types of reductions. So we asked the question of would you support the $1 million operating referendum to maintain current programs and services? We let folks know that it's going to cost us $33 for every $100,000 of property value, or $2.75 a month. And we say, what do you think? So 68% of all of your respondents are giving you a nod that, yep, I would definitely support that. 92% of your staff, 76% of your parents, and 47% of that non-parent, non-staff. So the reason we break this down is that 68 is overrepresented of parents and staff. Does that make sense? So we've got more parents and staff that are responding to the survey than is what statistically would happen in an election. So we really have that 47% makes up 75% of the folks at the polls. So once we see that that number is leaning near 50% and you've got strong support from your parents, we can tell you with a high degree of certainty that this question would have success at the polls. All right, so then we went on and we said, all right, we've also got some facility needs. And we've taken this and we've said, all right, let's create a recommended base plan. And we've got needs, and then we've got needs that we've said really are our highest priority. So we've gone through each of your buildings. So you've got your elementary school that we need to add the secure main entrance. We need to replace some HVAC components, update your roof and fire alarm system, and redesign traffic flow. We need $3.8 million there. So you do all this work, and then I like to say it in 2 minutes, like it's so simple. And then the middle school, secure entrance there, plumbing, electrical systems, some masonry work, roofs, fire alarm there, HVAC. You've got some ADA code requirements. We want to just do some core finish updates. Your science labs need some love. Renovate some classrooms, your LMC, sped rooms, and traffic flow as well. We need $11.8 million at your middle school. And your high school, in addition, needs that secure main entrance. You've got some water heater, fire alarm, roof replacement needs, masonry tuck pointing, chiller, again, some exhaust and air handling pieces, core finishes, need some love, tech ed space, and again, some classroom renovations and the traffic flow. So we need $13 million at your high school. So all in that base plan, so these are the needs we've said are the greatest priority, $28.6 million. We said this is going to cost you $29 for every $100,000 of property value. What do folks see here? And here we've got 64% of all survey respondents giving us a nod of yes, 24% a no, with 12% undecided. So you may be saying, oh, what happens to those undecided folks? What we found is that a third of undecideds will move to a yes with some additional education. 2/3 are typically just too nice to tell us no right away, but likely won't move to a yes. So in that sense, we can say we'll pick up another 4%. It looks like of all survey respondents, we've got about a 68% support. But because we just learned that this data is overrepresented of staff and parents, I want to pull your data apart. Strong support from your staff at 86% supporting this. So those that live within the district are saying, yep, I'd go to the polls and vote yes. Your parents, remember this group makes up 25% of folks at the polls. So you've got 72% support here. And this group, your non-parent, non-staff, you've got 43% support from them. You'll pick up another 4% of those undecideds. So you're sitting at about a 43 to 47% support from that group. All right, so we've created the little math equation for you. What does this look like? So if we just looked at the folks that supported it, so the folks that gave us a yes, you had 43% support right here, right? So we had 43% support from that non-parent, non-staff, and you had 72% support from your parents. So remember the orders of operation from math, what, 7th grade math? Is that when we do that? All right, so we're going to multiply those, and we get a 50.25% support there. So we say it's a squeaker, all right? So it'll be close. $28.6 million, but we do feel you have support. We also know that it's very likely you're going to pick up that third. So now I've gone back in, I've added a third, so I gave you another 4% of support with your non-parent, non-staff. Additionally, you had another 4% support for your parents. We add those guys together, and you're sitting closer to 54 or 54, 55% support there. Does that make sense? All right. So again, we had the base plan, but we also had some additional projects that we wanted to test, but we knew they weren't the highest priority. Sometimes this is, well, sometimes you got to give people a reason or something to say no to. So we had some additional projects. One was that you had a need for some additional gym space. $3.6 million there to add the gym and those support spaces. This additional project would cost us $21. All right, so you've got 44% support overall, 41% no. You can likely guess where this is going. Staff is in at 59% supporting it, 28% no. Your parents, so just over half of your parents are giving this a nod of yes. This really determines what happens, right? They're carrying 75% of the vote. At this point, your parents are saying, I'm not sure this is the highest for your general community. So 21% yes, 66% no. Really no need to do the math if we understand statistics, right? So your auditorium, 50% of all respondents. We said we needed a $12 million auditorium with the auditorium and support spaces. 36% no. Your staff, strong support. And I was sharing with Mark, I remember when I was here in 2015, I think the staff was significantly less supportive at that time when we kind of tested a need for an auditorium. So 10% no, so strong support of your staff understanding the need for an auditorium. Parents in at 56% support there. But again, this group really determines what happens at the polls. So with a tax impact of the $73, your general community is saying, not now. And then those outdoor athletic spaces. So we said that there was $2.4 million in needs for your outdoor athletic spaces at a cost of $15. 48% yes, 40% no, 12% undecided. 69% of your staff are in favor of this. 55% of your parents. But again, 27% of your general community, that non-parent, non-staff. So again, based on this data, okay, well here we'll just pull it together. So now we said everybody, so all in, base plan, all three projects, again, we probably already know where this is going, $46.6 million. So our all-in tax impact for all those capital projects is $138 for every $100,000 of property value. You've got 50% support with 13% undecided and 37% telling you no. 79% of your staff are still supportive of the whole project. So that's a strong message that your staff understands this need. 60% of parents. But this guy really determines what happens. So we need this guy leaning 43, 44% in order to see success there. So we know at this point, moving a project forward or a referendum question that included all of those would likely not have success. So that's what your data looks like. Questions for me?
Will we be able to link this to something so that we can look at it again and
Yep.
public?
Yep, and the survey actually talks about that. So Mark has a copy, so tomorrow he will post it on, he or someone will post it on the website so that folks can look through it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So although part of the, when I think about some of those issues that I think I would still like to have but aren't polling well, do you have recommendations for how, if we don't wind up incorporating those in the referendum, how do we educate people about those?
Yep. So those needs don't go away. Yep, exactly. And we also know that you can only, as your senator was talking about, you can only have 2 questions on the ballot.
Yeah.
So we know that you've got support for your operating question, and we know that there's support for that base question. So now it's a matter of, you know, I don't think these are no's, they're not yets, right? So now it's a matter of letting folks know what those needs are, why, you know, we've started building out that story of the fact that you've got a shortage of gym space, that there's a need for that auditorium. So just continuing to educate your general community on those needs. The other piece that we see, Dodgeville, Wisconsin's a great example. We did a project there. They had come off of a failure, and we came back, and theirs was very similar to you as far as their data that I said it's going to be a squeaker at 20 million, and they had some facility needs, and they were saying the same thing, but the auditorium and the gym. And I said, on time, on budget, extremely thankful, educating the community throughout the entire process. So they were very active on social media, providing pictures, keeping people updated of the process. And when they got done, everyone said, this is great. Look at what we've done for our community with updating our schools. And immediately folks started saying, now we need to have the conversation about the gym and the auditorium. And so they just went out in November and had success. You know, and I kind of joked with them. I said, 2 years, 2 years. It's going to take you a year to build. Then let's go right back at it. And they did. And we went back out, we surveyed, and, you know, we didn't get everything. You know, they had different levels of what the gym and auditorium could look like. And the community said, we can't go here, but we kind of gave them a good, better, best, and we ended at better. So that piece. So part of it is, I think, too, the perception of what are those spaces used for. So that an auditorium isn't used 3 times a year, right? That we're in that, that could be a large group instruction space that's used all the time. So changing people's mindsets on what that's for and the needs. But again, I think it's that on time, on budget, thankful, connecting with the community between now and, you know. So again, it's not a no, I think it's just a not yet.
Is there anything in the data that you find unique or unusual, or anything that we should?
Well, I've shared with Mark, I think you've made strides as a school district in the last couple of years. I think that there's places where you've grown from the data that we saw a couple of years ago. So we'll put the comments together, but I think there's some positive pieces. I think that you'll see success the more you're connecting with the community. It looked to us in some of the comments that there's been some appreciation for maybe some connections that have been made in recent years. So I think that piece, when districts, you know, when you see those types of comments, you'll start to see greater success at the polls. So that was of you know, us, because we had worked with you a couple different times. That was something that we noticed and we saw. So and the data definitely correlates with that.
Thank you very much, Sue, for pulling that together for us.
Yep.
Just, is there any leeway for tweaking anything that's on the base or the numbers with the operational? You know, we say, you know, we tested 1 million.
Yep.
So is there
scope creep? Is that what we want to call it? So like me building a house. Come on. Let's go back here. You know, I would say you want to kind of stick to, we've created a story, right, and we stick to our story. And these aren't, you know, you're still 47% there. You know, you're going to have success here. You're probably going to have a 58, maybe 60% support in your operating. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't increase that a whole lot. The reality is you're going to be adding $33 and $29 together. Okay, so I mean, you know, that's what we're asking for. We're asking people just, you know, over $60 per 100,000. So I think you stick here. You know, we don't increase it at this point, and we let people know. I mean, your needs may end up being greater than that. They always are, but the fact is we're gonna get this for now.
Pass what you can pass.
Pass what you can pass.
So did you say Dodgeville was successful this year, and this is 2 years after their first year?
Yep, so they did the 19, you know, we tested, they had failed a $43 million new high school. And then we came back and said, okay, if not new, what, you know, which projects would we support? So similar to like your base plan, but we let them pick and choose. And what tested low was, you know, get rid of the gym and auditorium at this point, take care of our educational spaces, similar to what's happening with you, right? People are saying our priority needs to be what's happening in our classrooms, special ed rooms, taking care of infrastructure. So take care of those critical things first. And then, you know, and then you start to come back and say, all right, now we've done these things. Now we want to just kind of take it to that next level and provide that piece. So in November, so, you know, our data is extremely predictive. And you probably heard this if you've heard us talk at the school board convention. But this November, we had 48 questions on the ballot between Wisconsin and Minnesota. And all 48 questions were successful. Now that doesn't mean that we told everybody to, you know, they could have everything they wanted. It meant that we said your tax tolerance is 17 million, not 35, or it's, you know, 22, not 28, and that boards listened. So I would say you've asked your community for feedback, so it's super critical to listen to what they've told you.
Yep.
So that kind of answers the, do I go more than $1 million?
I did. I just want to lay that out here. So
Sue said that could be your, or the survey said. So yeah, it's, you want to, you know, you start to get like, ooh, maybe we could do more. But I would say at this point, stick to what we've identified as the needs. And you've got a good story. You've made cuts. You've done things to create operational efficiencies. And now we just need some help. And not uncommon with what we're seeing around the state.
Very good.
So the comments, just so you know what's going to happen with those, we'll create a comment theme analysis. That'll happen this week. And then I'll provide that to Mark and he can forward that on to you all. So we intentionally don't give you that today because we want you to think data first. I want you to spend some time chewing on this and then use those comments to kind of, oh yeah, people aren't ready for the auditorium yet. They're not against it. It's just too much right now. And that's what we're going to see.
So will this be linked to the agenda now that we've had the presentation, or so the public?
well, we can, but as of tomorrow, we'll put this.
Yeah, put it on the website.
Put it on the website.
Okay.
Shoot you all copies of it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I always want to make sure you understand the
Yep.
data so you don't jump to the all residents and go, woohoo.
No, I get
Actually, didn't we do that? I always give the superintendent a week or so before back end access. And then I sent him a note and I said, don't cheer yet. I need to show you how to pull it apart. He goes, oh, shoot.
I was pretty excited at first, and I thought there was more to the
And
story.
he goes, there must be more to why she said that in the email. I'm like, yep. So you've got good data, though. You had a good response rate. That's a message, too, when your community takes time to respond to the survey. So good statistical data. Call us if you have questions. Stop and see us at the school board convention. All right?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, so
How do
next
you-
step we'll have
Yeah,
to.
it's having just discussion on what direction, you know, we want to go, if we want to follow this or if we want to dissect it more.
And January 21st is when we need to.
Well,
turn it
I think it's
in.
the 18th of January, we have to declare, we've got, you know, different questions we have to get set before that, though.
So the work session, we must nail it down.
Yeah, we really should nail it down at that work session, the first one in January.
All right. That gives you guys lots of time to stew on all this and we'll have the comments.
And ask whatever questions, you know, so
Right.
we can,
So tentatively, that's, we don't have a lot of time, so that's pretty well laid out for us. So the work session in January, we'll decide on the questions that will need to be declared January 18th. I'm so appreciative of those in the community that took the time to answer the surveys. It was a little bit awkward in a household of 2 to have it come for 1 to be able to do it, so, and I know you could call.
Yeah.
But we still had a nice amount of people that turned out, so they responded. So, any other questions on that? Onward to the educational delivery, item 5 on the agenda, the Fab Lab grant. We're looking for a motion there.
We need a letter of support. We've done this every year that we've applied for one. Basically, it's so the board says, yep, we know about it. And then if we, again, if we're successful, we pass referendum, you know, we'll take advantage of it. If for some reason we don't, and we're short on the dollars, we can opt out of it. So it's really, let's go for it and hope for the best.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bruce. So any questions on that then? So we have a motion by Bob and seconded by Bruce to recommend the school board support the new grant application and potential matching dollars for the Somerset High School Fab Lab project. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful, the motion carries unanimously. So we'll move on to item 6 then, services and facilities, policies. We talked about those at the work session, so if I could please ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Courtney.
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions on those, the changes? It was rather minor the last time we talked about it, so all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries there to update those two policies, 1460 and 1461. So we'll move on to the item 7, consent agenda. Asking for a motion on the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Courtney.
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions on those? I'm thinking she's recommending items A, 1, 2, and 3.
And B and C.
The two, I said minutes, I'm sorry, so I separated it out, I apologize. So she can make it again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries on the minutes. So I won't speak for anyone, if someone would like to make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion for B and C.
Thank you, Bruce. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions on the board bills or the personnel update? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful, carries unanimously, thank you very much. On to general information, our January board meetings, January 7th and January 28th. So that would mean that January 7th, we have our work session, and we would need another meeting in there to do the declaring on the 18th, or can we make it so that we have an action?
We might be able to do it at the 7th meeting. We'll prepare everything
That's what we'll
for
try to do.
that and make sure we've got all of our I's dotted and T's crossed.
But keep in mind that if we're not able to, then we would need one more meeting in between prior to the 18th. And then the ones around the table, please. Bruce, anything?
No.
Katie?
Nope.
Bob?
We had a calendar event that we're supposed to respond to. Is there any idea on when that meeting was going to occur?
Yes. The outcome was the majority of people could make it Wednesday. I'm going to change my schedule so that I can also make it Wednesday. Actually, I'm going to skip what I was going to go to. So I don't know who wasn't able to, but so Wednesday night, what time could work? Because we had
Wednesday?
Yes, this Wednesday.
Can we have, you didn't get an email?
You did not get an email?
No.
I mean, I got an email with my availability, but I had no idea there was going to be this Wednesday.
So that's why we're having this now. So
Well, I can't be here Wednesday.
okay,
which is
so
probably
I can.
something to do.
you can. You cannot at this point.
Yeah.
Lori,
I cannot.
Bob,
This Wednesday? Yeah, that's fine.
and Bruce. How about you?
Yes.
Oh,
That would make it so that we've got 4 that can.
weird.
What do you mean weird?
Nothing.
Tasha, did she have on hers availability for Wednesday?
Well, what do we have for availability? And
I can pull it up here.
let's work on a date, so.
I'd like us to be able to wrap this up before the end of the year, and I'm willing to change my schedule. Is there any way you could change yours, Lori, or yours, Courtney, so that Wednesday could work? No? You, Katie? Any chance?
I have.
Thursday? Well, let's see.
Is there not a time when we all could make it?
Not before the end of the year.
There, Wednesday was the most availability. The next gets down to only like 4 or 5 people total available between board and admin.
Was that going into January? Because we talked about
I went through the end of December to start.
Right.
So
What was that other date that had 4? Well, wait, you said that's 4 between the
Total.
2?
yeah.
Oh,
Can we
gosh.
not look after the first of the year? So people are back from the holidays? because that's what the original email said.
That's where I'm at.
After the 7th meeting, is that too late?
No, that's fine.
I think that would work.
After the 7th, after the work session?
Are you gonna be back?
I won't be here on the 7th, so.
You will not be on the 7th?
No, I will not be.
I will be.
Courtney?
As of now, yes.
Chris? Will that work for you?
Just re-poll the dates of availability again. How about that?
After break, send out new dates.
Take a look at the first week, is that?
In January?
Yeah.
So we don't have a quorum this Wednesday?
We do have a quorum. There's no reason why we can't hear what's said. So if because there is a quorum, we can sit down, we can hear what's said. No decisions necessarily have to be made, but we can hear hear what the discussion is, so.
I think it should happen sooner rather than later,
I do too.
even though I can't be there.
Then let's stay with this Wednesday. We'll get the information we need. We've got 4 that can participate.
How will that information be communicated to the rest of the board?
Through the minutes? It's a closed session. That's a good question.
There's an attorney sitting right here, isn't there?
Yeah. I'll check with WASB too.
And would there be a way for those of us who cannot be here to share opinions or ideas without us being here? Something in writing, by a phone conference, I don't know.
What do the rest of you think? What's your thoughts?
Our closed sessions, yeah.
Can you call in? I mean, can we have a
Yes.
phone?
Well, there's a couple things, there is a phone-in process too. But what I was just gonna suggest is, this is no different than a committee of the board listening and then reporting back. So on the 7th, you could have a closed session just with the board, and then the 4 members that are there can report back to the entire board, so the entire board's in on.
The discussion piece
Yep.
and beyond that.
Is that acceptable? Is that agreeable?
No, I had wanted to address some concerns with them as well during the meeting. So how should I do that?
Some concerns with the admin team? Is that what you mean?
Some concerns that they have. I want them to hear
that. Well, I guess my thought is if you have strong opinions and you're not able to come that evening, this Wednesday night, send me an email. We can share those and at least they can be made aware of them.
Yeah.
So why don't do you want to schedule something out?
No,
for
let's
this following 2 weeks?
let's keep this going
shows good
because
faith,
if
too.
you guys, yep, so if you can put it down as kind of an idea of what you're thinking, we'll try and cover some ground. And then the no decisions will be made, I would understand from what I'm hearing tonight, no decisions made, but we're hearing listening session, so Friday night, or the 7th would be the next, after the work session. Unless we want to set another.
No, I think this Wednesday is important for everybody to be heard.
All right. So Tasia, would you please post that for us then for this
On
Wednesday?
what time?
What time?
6. Right?
Can we go any earlier, or we've just got a meeting till 4:35 with the, 4:30 with the.
5? Can you be here by 5?
Can 5 work for you? All
And
right.
they don't have to stay so late.
And if
Give me a
that
moment.
changes the ability for any of you either of you 3 to make it, please
Give me
do
a
join us.
second.
5 o'clock then on Wednesday.
Moment.
All right. Good question, Bob. Any others?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was asking Bob. I'll be right over.
Okay, Bob, good.
Did you have any? You're good. Okay. Courtney, did you have any?
I'm good.
Catherine?
I just want to reiterate my one that I brought up before, to have a policy for board members to attend online and what we're going to do about that.
To attend online. Oh,
Yeah.
to participate in this. Okay.
Cause I think I could not find a policy specific
No,
to
we don't have one.
board members who are on vacation or board members who are gone for a month or so. Can they participate via
Tell
the screen or Skype or whatever? Does that count? And there are policies out there that cover that. I think we should have one.
Okay. I think that's a good idea. You've got a note of that, Deja?
Yeah.
I do too. So, Lori, I'm sorry, go ahead.
In October, I requested information about sub-pay, and you said in one of your weekly updates that it would be on this December agenda, and we haven't heard anything back. So I'm wondering where we are with that. I'm also wondering about the summer school report.
I've contacted both NEMICS, and they just haven't responded yet. We talked to them today, but they didn't respond. But we gave them both the dates in January to come in and talk and that. So as far as the sub-pay, Dave and I are still working on that. We talked about the last 2 administrative meetings. We're just trying to get all of our numbers together so we can present something to you to say, you know, here's what we recommend. And basically what we're recommending, I'll tell you now, but I don't know if it'll change and, you know, when we dig deeper into the numbers, but we're looking at somewhere around 115, 120 per day, upping that, and then looking at hiring a full-time or a district non-certified and teaching sub, which will probably affect our pool, but at least we'll have those people, good people in our district, not having them run anywhere else.
So we can put that on the work
basically,
session,
that's
yeah.
part of what the recommendation is going to be, and we'll look at some other pieces too, but we just haven't nailed all the numbers down yet. So.
Thank you for the reminder on that, Lori.
The state statute for preliminary notice of non-renewal is approaching, and the board approved some additional positions, and we requested data to show the impact of those positions. We need to hear some information regarding the impact of those positions, because if they're not going to be kept, there's our timelines that need to be met. So will we be hearing a report on that at the work session?
Well, I don't know if we'll be getting it at this work session or the next meeting, but there's a process that I want to talk about as far as what we're going to look at as far as reductions if the referendum doesn't pass. And obviously this is part of it too. But they're working, the administrative team is working on data to show support or where these positions are at.
Any others, Lori?
No, thank you.
All right then. So if I could entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Lori.
Second.
Thank you, Catherine. So all
We're
those.
adjourning into closed session.
Yes, you're right. Is that okay if that's the motion you're making, adjourning into closed session? And Catherine? All right, thank you, Bruce.
Marie, could you read the
Yes.
full?
So we have a motion on the table by Lori, seconded by Catherine, for the school to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 1985 1G, to confer with legal counsel, to render oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the board with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved. The purpose of the closed session will be to discuss the status of the matter and the board's strategy. All those in favor of moving into closed session, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll move into closed session then. Thank you all for coming this evening.